You know the feeling, right? You're endlessly scrolling, clicking, skimming through this absolute ocean of information. It feels like you're being productive. But have you ever stopped to wonder, what's it doing to our ability to actually think? Well, today we're going to dive into the science behind deep reading and why we might be in danger of losing it in this digital age. This quote from John Donne just hits the nail on the head. It perfectly frames the problem we're facing. I mean, we've totally mastered action and enjoyment, right? Our whole culture is about doing things and being entertained. But what about that third life, that crucial life of contemplation? It feels like it's starting to fade away, and we really need to understand why. So, what is this contemplative life that we're talking about losing? Well, think about our digital world. It's built for speed, for constant stimulation, for getting to the next thing as fast as possible. And look, those things aren't necessarily bad, but they create this direct conflict with the slower, more deliberate kind of thinking that's essential for deep reading. So what exactly is deep reading? Let's be clear. It's so much more than just being able to recognize words on a page or a screen. It's the whole cognitive toolkit you need for genuine understanding. We're talking about making those inferential leaps, connecting the dots the author doesn't spell out for you. It's about critically analyzing arguments, reflecting on what it all means, and this is the big one, generating your own unique insights. And right here, this is the core of the conflict. Our digital world trains our brains for speed and for loading up on information. It's like a rocket. But deep reading? That's a much slower, more methodical process. It's like a tortoise. The two are just fundamentally at odds, and that's where the problem really starts. Now, to really get why this conflict matters so much, we have to look at what's actually happening inside our heads. The neuroscience of reading is this incredible story about how our brains literally have to rewire themselves to make it happen. It's fascinating. Get this. This is a pretty startling fact, but it's 100% true. As a species, we were never born to read. We have genetic programming for things like seeing and speaking, but absolutely nothing for reading. Reading is a human invention, and learning how to do it physically changes our brains. The process is just incredible, because we weren't born to do this. Our brain's natural plasticity, its ability to change, allows it to build something totally new. It essentially borrows parts from older brain areas, the ones responsible for vision, sound, and language, and it stitches them together in a brand new way to create a dedicated reading circuit. It's almost miraculous. And we have real, tangible proof of this rewiring. The brain of someone reading English, who's processing sounds, actually lights up in different areas than the brain of someone reading Chinese, who's processing thousands of complex visual characters. Think about that for a second. This is a powerful, visible example of how the medium we read in literally sculpts the physical structure of our brain. So, this brings us to the central question, right? If the medium shapes the brain, then what's the real difference between reading on a physical page versus reading on a screen? The printed page creates this unique mental space. It's stable, it's sequential, it's self-contained. There's a beginning, a middle, and an end, and it forces our complete attention. It demands that we actively build the meaning in our own minds. The source material calls this the Prussian principle. It creates this mental sanctuary where we have the quiet time we need to think our own thoughts right alongside the author's. This chart just makes the difference so clear. Print creates what you could call a mental sanctuary, a focused, quiet environment that encourages that deep, sequential processing. The online world, on the other hand, is often described as a maelstrom of information and distractions. It rewards multitasking, skimming, and jumping around, training our brains for a completely different set of skills that can directly undermine deep comprehension. Okay, so what are the long-term effects of living inside this online maelstrom? Let's take a closer look at the specific cognitive habits it's building in all of us. It's actually kind of funny. Being worried about new information technology is not a new thing. Millennia ago, Socrates himself was worried that the invention of writing would trick people into thinking they possessed knowledge, when really they had only just begun the search for it. And that just raises such a critical question for us today. With an infinite library of information just a click away, do we start to mistake access for actual understanding? Do we feel knowledgeable just because we can Google anything in a split second? The online environment really does put up some serious roadblocks to deep reading. It trains us to be impatient, to constantly shift our attention. We're served information based on popularity, on hits, not necessarily on quality. And all those helpful links, pictures, and videos, well, they often just end up being more distractions. All these things together can effectively short-circuit the very mental processes we need for deep reading. Okay, so after laying out all the challenges, what's the solution? This is not about rejecting technology or saying screens are evil. The path forward is about a thoughtful integration. It's about intentionally building what some are calling a hybrid or biliterate brain. And this right here is the key takeaway. Becoming an expert, deep reader isn't automatic. These advanced skills, whether you're reading in print or online, they don't just magically appear. They have to be intentionally taught, cultivated, and practiced. History actually gives us a fantastic blueprint for how to do this. Way back when the Akkadian writing system started to replace the older Sumerian one, they didn't just throw out the past. They intelligently incorporated the most valuable parts of the old system into the new one. And we can do the exact same thing today. Blend the deep, reflective focus of print with the incredible, vast resources of the digital world. Education is really where the solution is. It means we have to explicitly teach deep reading skills for both print and online environments. We can actually use digital tools to our advantage here. Imagine embedding prompts and feedback directly into a text that encourages students to pause, reflect, and critically question what they're seeing. That's how we can transform that digital maelstrom into a really powerful, structured learning environment. And all of this brings us back to a really profound reality. Our reading habits are not trivial. They're not just a hobby. The way we engage with text physically shapes the neural pathways in our brain, and in doing that, it determines the very quality of our thoughts. So the final question is really for all of us. In this incredibly fast-paced, information-saturated world that we live in, how will you build your own sanctuary for thought? Because the future of deep reading, and really of deep thinking, depends on that answer.